Behold, the next act in this greatest show on earth, the abnormally big-cheeked skinny man. Whoa, do my cheeks really look this big on camera? What is up, everybody? Random Man here. First off, I do apologize for me looking and sounding differently on camera this time around, as 2 days ago, as a part of the start to my month-long winter break, I had my bottom 2 wisdom teeth removed. My top 2 were removed this past summer, so all 4 of them are now gone. And ever since the anesthesia has worn off, my cheeks have significantly swelled up and have become sore. They still feel sore now. I feel like the Godfather with how I look and sound. But like Vito Corleone, I'm gonna make you all an offer you can't refuse, as I am here bringing you my review for The Greatest Showman. Now, the plot is basically inspired by the true life story of Phineas Taylor Barnum, aka P.T. Barnum, played by Hugh Jackman, who was a man with big dreams and would eventually go on to start the Barnum and Bailey Circus and have the lives of its attractions changed forever. Going into this movie, I had quite a bit of interest in seeing it due to its cast, the story within the film, and the fact that this movie is a musical. A lot of you already know this about me, but I am a big fan of movie musicals. I have also never seen a real-life performance of the Barnum and Bailey Circus while it was still in operation, and I was always fascinated to find out more about the story behind that phenomenon. Plus, I was clearly able to convince myself that I was well enough to go out and see this movie. Starting out with the cast and their performances, Hugh Jackman does a charismatic job as P.T. Barnum. Of course, we all know and love him in the role of the Wolverine/Logan in the X-Men film series, but Jackman has also proven to be a talent on stage within Broadway, and he's even shown off his singing chops in the movie musical Les Miserables, for which he was nominated for an Oscar and even won a Golden Globe for. And in The Greatest Showman, he again shows off his singing chops and his charisma with flying colors, as apparently this movie was a passion project of his for the past 8 years or so, and his performance exudes all of that on screen for sure. Other major players in this film include Michelle Williams as the wife to P.T. Barnum. She does a great job here. Zac Efron does a nice job as the playwright who teams up with Barnum later on in the movie. Rebecca Ferguson is strong as the opera singer who Barnum discovers also later on in the film. Zendaya plays a trapeze artist within Barnum's circus show, and she apparently did her own stunts in this movie, and that is impressive for sure. I also really enjoyed all of the actors who played the attractions within Barnum's circus. Basically, everyone in this movie does solid jobs performance-wise. The writing in this film is pretty bare bones, to say the least. We only get a basic idea from the get-go of how Barnum in his youth had a dream to make a name for himself. He meets his future wife while in his youth as well, and then we are quickly thrust into this couple getting married and seeing where the story goes from there. Naturally, we do get to see how Barnum gets the circus together, getting all of the attractions and acts to be put on within his show, but it was the surface level nature of how the story and writing was all constructed that disappointed me, in that we didn't get much more insight. Now, I should have seen this coming anyway, because this movie was heavily marketed as a musical and not a full-on biopic about P.T. Barnum, so I can let that slide as long as the story was still engaging throughout. But I would say that it was kind of rushed in certain areas. It was almost as if the little plot threads were just placeholders to hold us over in between all the big musical sequences that we got throughout the film. And that is definitely one of the best parts of this movie. The big show-stopping musical numbers that are full of spectacle. This movie really does have a vivid look with itself, with the set design, the costumes, all of that. This is a colorful looking movie, and it is a feast for the eyes to see how all of these sections play out. This applies for the music in the film as well. Fun fact, the music in the movie was written by the Academy Award-winning lyricist of La La Land, another movie musical, my favorite movie of 2016. And for The Greatest Showman, the music in this film was memorable to me. I thought it was fantastic seeing the music interplay with the sequences that showed off the cast singing and dancing. My favorite song in particular from this movie is the Golden Globe nominated This Is Me. This coupling of the superb music and the grand visuals do make for some outstanding moments throughout the film, and Michael Gracie does a fine job orchestrating these sequences together with his direction. But again, in between these show-stopping musical numbers, we are mostly void of substance in trying to get to know more of P.T. Barnum's story. I'm not saying that this movie doesn't have any story at all, but we really don't get that much more into what Barnum was all about. There's also this side plot involving a romance between the characters played by Zac Efron and Zendaya, and I didn't feel for that too much, although it did lead to, again, a pretty cool musical number sequence, yet other times, and this also has to do with the movie's tone, it overcompensated in trying to show off too much whimsy and a lot of ooh-ah nature in what the movie was trying to express, when the real-life story of P.T. Barnum apparently showed that he wasn't the nicest guy around. In fact, many can and have argued that this movie is a highly trivialized and misguided attempt to bring P.T. Barnum's story to the big screen by ways of converting it into a musical. This has caused some controversy with the film, as it's being released a mere 7 months after the circus that Barnum has started has stopped operation for good, even with 3 Golden Globe nominations, including Best Picture, Musical or Comedy, Best Actor, Musical or Comedy, and Best Original Song for This Is Me. This movie does show off how it really doesn't tell an authentic story about P.T. Barnum that many, like myself, would be interested to see. At the same time, though, I really was enjoying the movie when it showed off its musical numbers, as this movie simply looks and sounds great. In between all of that, I was still somewhat charmed by the performances, but the plot left much to be desired with how briskly it was glossed over in many areas, and it certainly affected the pacing as well, as this movie ran faster than I expected at about 1 hour and 45 minutes. All in all, I would say that if you're into seeing this movie for its look and music alone, especially during this time of year in the holiday season, this is a nice little diversion. If you're not into the whole musical angle this movie is trying to push, and if you're looking for more details in how the real life story of P.T. Barnum would be told on the big screen, this movie is not for you. As for me, for how enamored I was with this movie in its most dazzling of aspects, and also leaving me cold in the more substance areas, I would cautiously recommend it. My final verdict for The Greatest Showman is 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of The Greatest Showman, social media links in the description, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.